Hey guys, Sharina from Sassy Seamstress, and this is part 3 of a series I'm doing for a simplicity pattern by Leanne Marshall. It's this yellow one here. So for part 1 we did most of the lining, and part 2 we finished up the lining and started work on the outer layer, the top part. So for this part, we're going to finish the ruffles for the skirt and the skirt itself. So we'll be working on that today. Okay, so you're going to cut out 4 ruffles for each of the patterns, so there are 3 ruffles. You have your front, side, and back, and you'll have 2 for each of those. And then we're going to cut out this is the lightweight fusible interface that I'm using, and I already have this one set up on one of my ruffles. Now, fusible interface will come with directions. It's almost like kind of tissue paper, and it has printed directions on them, and just go ahead and follow those. They're great. This one called for it recommended pressing the edges first and then kind of working your way through it. So I'm actually just going to follow the curve of the pattern. And it shouldn't take too much to get this to fuse. So if you're finding that you need to go over it and over it and over it, just turn your iron up a setting or 2. I really need a better table so you guys can see this a little bit better. But we make do. Alright, so that's it. And I'll just set this aside and let it cool. Okay, so once you are done fusing your material, step number 10 is actually to pin your fused one with your other one. Make sure that you're pinning right side to right side. This crepe material is the same on both, so it doesn't matter. But if you are using a pattern one or anything like that, do make sure that it's right side to right side. And we're going to sew the end and along the outer edge. So I'm just going to pin all of this. And then, we'll sew a straight line stitch all the way around, and right here as well. Alright, so now that I have finished sewing my seam here, the last part of step 10 is actually to go back and trim. So we did it at 1 centimeter or 3/8 inch seam allowance. So the directions call for then to go back and cut at 1/4 of an inch. So I have my little ruler here, and let's see if you can see kind of. So I'm not taking off, there we go. So I'm not taking off a ton right where that little notch is, but I am taking off a little bit. So I'm just going to follow the seam around and cut that off. So let's see, it's about there. And I'll just follow around and cut my seam, and then we'll move on from there. Okay. So I have one of my ruffles here, and I've turned it right side in, I guess, as you can see. And so now I'm just going to go through and press all of my seams. Now step 11, we're actually going to do a running stitch along the inside of this here. So we'll do a running stitch all the way around. And then I'll probably add a couple more notches in the seam, and that'll be the next step. Okay, so I finished pressing all of the edges, the edge seams, and step number 11 is to create a running stitch along the inside of your ruffle, or I guess they call it a flounce, which is a fancy word for ruffle. And so I'm just going to do a stay stitch. Alright, so step 12 is to pin your front flounces to your front panel here. So I've just matched up my notches and I've gone ahead and pinned both sides. So we'll just do a basting stitch on, and this front panel will be done. So for step 13 and 14, for your side back and for your back panels, you're just going to match up your flounces with your notches and do a basting stitch. Alright, so this is your front panel here with the flounce, and I've gone ahead and attached the side panel here. So I've just sewn that right side to right side, so I have my seam here. And the next step is just to put that back, okay, is just to attach your side back with the flounce that you've already attached to it, right side to right side. So once you've finished with all of your skirt panels, the next step to do is actually just to attach the top that we made earlier to the skirt. So I'm just going to match up all of my seams, pin it, and then we'll do a straight seam. So this is the end of part 3. We finished sewing the skirt to the top, and I just stuck it on the mannequin. It's pinned in the back. Do not sew that back seam because we still need to put in the zipper. So next part of this, part 4, we'll cover putting in the zipper. We'll actually attach the outer section to the lining, and we'll hem it and finish all of the little detailing.